Hey YouTube, this is Das Willy Cool, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the Twitch stream as well if you are going to be watching me on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/Das Willy Cool. So come and give me a follow and say hi next time you're watching. You can find me in game on Star Citizen most evenings and also some mornings London time. A bit of background for you. I joined Star Citizen back in 2021, so I've not been backing for loads of time, but I have seen it through some of the good and some of the rougher patches. I'm also part of the organisation called the Black Adders. We're a UK based organisation, so we're usually playing after 5 PM up to around 11 PM, something along those lines. There's also loads of nationalities that play in the org as well, so you'll probably find someone in your time zone if you need that. So yeah, I'm here to talk about my current and future fleets and what my end game is. So firstly, I joined Star Citizen back in 2021. I believe it was during the 3.17 patch, which was brilliant. I got totally hooked. I purchased the game. It was when the Drake cutter was actually coming out, and I absolutely loved that little ship. Really cute. It's a really good multiplayer ship, so you can do loads of different loops with it, which is really cool. I've still got one in my hangar, and occasionally I still use it. So I upgraded the cutter into the Pisces Rescue, and it soon became the C1. As I say, I was very much hooked on the game, and then they released the Fury. So I grabbed one of those and then soon upgraded that to a Vulture, which is pretty much where I'm kind of starting my fleet talk today. I did also purchase the odd CCU here and there, and also the Pulse came out, so I got one of those, and then that was upgraded to a Nurser, the Medivac Ursa. So yeah, as I say, that left me with these 3 ships. So firstly, why these ships? Okay, so I play solo, so a lot of the emphasis on my fleet is about me being able to play with the ships on my own, or at most with a friend that I can possibly get into Star Citizen somehow. I am also in an organisation, so I may also play in a bigger group, but I'm not completely sold on the idea of having really huge, massive ships that eventually I'd probably have to solo on my own. That obviously brings in other problems as well, the resources network, all of the engineering stuff that we've seen really recent videos on, in terms of, you know, if you're shot or whatever, or just upkeep of the ship. You need to be attentive to those things, right? So it's not ideal if I've got a massive ship that I then need to stop every so often and go and do something and then come back to the driver's seat. There's also being attacked, of course, so getting cover on turrets and things like that. I just won't have the ability to get that unless in the future, obviously, the NPCs blades come in, and I see that being quite far down the line, so I want to play with my ships now, right? So here we go, the first one, the Ursa Medivac. So my main reason for this is because current gameplay requires it, essentially. The way that I play and the amount of time that I have to play the game usually is down to about an hour or 2 at the most, really. Maybe an hour before work, an hour after work, sort of thing. So bunker clearing missions have been really good. Obviously, they don't take too much time, which is really great. And obviously, they're a good source for all of the guns, ammo, armor, and, as I say, general quick play. They also give me a chance to practice my FPS gameplay. So yeah, one of these is needed, and you can then just keep spawning and spawning and spawning. It's endless. It's good fun, very quick to jump in, and the only real problem is kind of bringing it up in the first place and putting it in a ship. That's the only sort of time sink there. So the Ursa Medivac, absolutely love it. The next ship is the Vulture. Now, this is my main source of income and actually my favourite game loop as well. I love to just sit back and kill an hour or two to salvage panels and all of the other ships that I come across. So I can usually be found in game kind of jumping from one hotspot to another to salvage derelict or downed ships, especially the breakers yards, right, where all of the pirates go sometimes. So it's quite fun because you've got that kind of real risk versus reward because you're going somewhere quite dangerous. So yeah, that's my kind of thinking with the Vulture. Now the C1 Spirit. This I feel is a bit of a stopgap. When it first came out, I absolutely loved it. It looks really cool, drives really well, and it's a lot of fun to fly. It's relatively small as well, so that you can get from the pilot seat out of the ramp of the ship and then go and do some cargo running or whatever. Now, one of the main things that I like to do at the moment in the patches is go out and make money using the Vulture. As I said earlier, love that ship, salvage, etc., so that I can purchase a bigger ship. So I try and do that each patch. So as I say, this one is a bit kind of on standby because at the moment I really like to use a hauler. So I go out in the Vulture, scrape a load of RMC, put it in the boot, and then go to a space station and drop off all the RMC. So then eventually I can then use a Freelancer Max or a Taurus or something like that that has the ability to carry loads of boxes. So then I can just grab all of that RMC and then take it to sell. Now, as I say, the C1 Spirit is a bit of a standby. So, you know, in the worst case scenario, if we get to the next wipe, looking at U 4.0, then I will have at least a kind of hauler, a biggish hauler that I can carry loads of stuff. So at the moment, the C1 Spirit is there, so that if there is a wipe, then at least I've got that to fall back on. The Spirit is, as I say, a really, really great ship, but a couple of the cons is that I found it quite hard to actually land on difficult terrain because the platform itself is so large and it's quite wide, so you have to be really careful about where you actually land it. And for me, it's not the strongest in the fight scenarios. I'm not a great fighter pilot. I'm also not a great FPS, so I really need to practice on everything. I'm more, you know, steering towards that industrial salvage and cargo running. So yeah, this is definitely not my bestest ship for kind of flying and fighting in either. Yeah, that's the C1. Really nice little ship, but a stopgap, as I say. So where am I actually going with my upgrades and my ships eventually? So these are some of the ships that I'm willing to upgrade to. Again, I'll go from smallest to biggest. Now in this case, we actually start with the C1 Spirit, and I currently have a full CCU chain to a Connie Taurus. Now with all of the reworks and possible ships coming out and stuff, I don't actually know if this is going to stay as a Connie Taurus. Currently there's also the CCU to the Connie Andromeda, which is really tempting. But that is the general idea, that this stays as a Taurus. It's a really good daily driver, so when the big wipe happens and I'm left with a ship, then the Taurus would be really good enough. Hopefully it's still doable, drivable with all of those upgrades and reworks that they are going to do. Hopefully we'll see a table soon in there as well. The Taurus as well is by no means weak in the fight scenes as well. It's got a really good shield and armor, or ship health rather, and the guns are pretty good as well. You can upgrade to like a couple of M5s, or is it M7s? I can't remember. Yeah, upgrading the weapons also isn't one of my biggest suits either. So yeah, I'm working on it. So on to the Vulture. What am I going to do with that? So I've also got a full CCU to a Vulcan. This is the repair, rearm and refueling ship. It's a really nice looking angular sort of brick from Aegis, and it's going to serve me in assisting the Averse when all hope is lost. And with Pyro coming in, I'm hopefully to get a lot of use for it. Now also being in an organisation did help with this decision a little as well, as the organisation will need to refuel and repair its fighters at some point in the future, obviously. When the jump points come in and Pyro's in, as I say, we can then jump through, and I'm going to need to help out my org mates. Now, this is a weird one as well, because upgrading from the Vulture to the Vulcan, I am categorically not going to be doing until the Vulcan is actually released. Because at the moment, at the time of this video, the loaner ship is the Starfarer, which is essentially the refueling ship of the verse, and that's all it does. And at the moment, I don't think it's massively viable. People just aren't using the Starfarer or requesting refueling from anyone. So at the moment, it's a bit meh. The Vulture will stay as the Vulture until such time that the Vulcan is actually available, because then hopefully that gameplay will also be in. Now, there is also a big caveat to this. There's a big however. If something more industrial comes in, like a medium salvage, people have been screaming for this for a while. If that actually comes out, then I may actually be upgrading from the Vulcan to this new salvage ship. So that would really be my ultimate upgrade. As I've already said, salvage is a big gameplay loop for me. It's really good fun. So I guess only time will tell with that one. Then we got the Medivac, probably the smallest of the lot. And this has actually taught me one thing. With the CCUs, you really need to be careful. So I've made some kind of savings in terms of getting that Vulcan and the Taurus. I haven't done too bad, but I got the Medivac so that I can literally get an actual capital ship. Now, I said earlier that I'm in an org and I don't like the idea of massive ships and having to solo things all on my own, but I am currently CCUing this little bad boy, this little Medivac, to a Liberator. So this again was pretty much influenced by my org. I thought it awesome being part of the logistics division to have a ship that can then haul other ships and send them through the various jump gates. And also, I didn't really like the fact of having a home base on a planet. I like more the idea of roaming the universe and having more of a mobile home. So this way I can carry at least my Vulcan with me on adventures, and then I can help adventurers, I find, with repairing their ships and such. So hopefully it's going to make a really good platform to run from. Now, as I also said, organization wise, it's one of the really good ships that you can utilize to carry others. So I envisage having maybe my Vulcan, maybe a couple of tanks maybe in the hold, or at least a Nurser Medivac, and also maybe a couple of Hornets on top, perhaps, with my org mates. So then people can run from me. I can do those ground missions, land on a planet quite far away from the trouble, hopefully, and then possibly zoom in with the Vulcan as a dropship or whatever the org needs, really. So yeah, the Medivac is going into a Liberator, and I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. So, on to maybe the most important of the fleet, really, which includes kind of when the game actually goes live. So we're talking 1.0 or 4.0 or whatever they want to call it. When the game is actually live and out there, what is the actual end game? The end game is to get longevity and to be able to play the game for as long as possible, right? So for me, this is probably the most important part of the fleet, because it includes all of the ships that I would want to purchase in game. So hopefully these will take me a little while to put together, but in the end would be obviously providing more gameplay and also allowing me to dip into those areas that I've not even considered. So like racing or mining, I've not really even tried before, to be honest. Of course, by the time the actual game comes out, there could also be other items and things to purchase, both in-game and in the pledge store. You know, we've already had the few bits and pieces of flair for our hangars. And there's also been like tables and chairs added to the subscriber flair and the store that you can buy as well. I'm hoping at some point that my organisation would be purchasing some ground locations that they then run from, but I'll be able to jump between them and create gameplay. So gathering resources, components, repairing materials and standard living materials as well even. So who knows, the verse is our oyster. So a lot of these ships I'm thinking on purchasing with in-game money when the game actually goes live. You don't need to purchase any other ship apart from your initial starter, which is around $45-ish. It's really all you need. So you don't need to spend tons and tons of money in the game. So the thing is, if I purchase all of my ships before I even get into the game, I'm eliminating that gameplay by buying everything. You know, that said though, if you're someone with that sort of money to throw into the game, then obviously go ahead. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, to tell you that it's a bad idea or anything like that. But my opinion is that my end game, my personal end game, is to buy all of the ships in game and then have that larger fleet that way. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, if anyone's got any comments at all, do pop them into the chat. It'd be great to hear from you. I will be trying to answer all of the comments. You can obviously find me on twitch.tv/DasWillyCall. If you want to chat more on Star Citizen, you can find me on there. And I will be posting on here from time to time as well with updates and things like that on possibly my fleet, and hopefully there's some fun shenanigans as well in videos that you'll see. But take it easy, pilots. All the best, and I'll see you in the verse. Laters.
Oh, okay, we died. And that is why you don't play with water.